Air Canada, WestJet, which has the better business class? We're about to fly across the Atlantic twice to compare these top Canadian carriers head to head. We'll test it all, the lounges, the food, the seats, and even tell you what we paid.
Hello, Jet Setters. I'm Jeb Brooks from greenergrass.com. The Trans Atlantic Throwdown, Canadian edition, starts now.
Here's the plan. We'll fly from Toronto to London with Air Canada. From there, we'll head back to Calgary with WestJet, which will allow us to compare these two Canadian rivals. We'll start with Air Canada, Canada's flag carrier. Their fleet is made up of more than 200 airplanes, ranging from narrow bodies like 737s and A321s, all the way up to their flagship 777s, like the one we'll be on today. These airplanes spread their route network all across the world, but we begin in Toronto.
This whole trip came about because we really wanted to go hiking in the Canadian Rockies, which raises a reasonable question that many of you might have. Why are we going to London?
Well, when you think about the best way to get to Calgary, what occurred to me was, oh yeah, flying WestJet from London to Calgary. Of course.
Like you do. But we can't be the only ones who take strange routings to get to places just to try new airlines or new airplanes. Let us know in the comments below. Have you ever done that, and what was your route?
We see you out there. Let us know.
For us, it's definitely this one, and our quirky interest gave us the opportunity to compare WestJet to their fiercest rival. So the idea of the Trans Atlantic Throwdown Canadian edition was born. Let's start with Air Canada in a very special place.
In my opinion, checking out the lounge is one of the best parts of a business class flight, and this is going to be a great one. Let's check out the Air Canada Signature Suite.
You see, this space is not like anything we've experienced before. First of all, it's extremely exclusive. Only international long-haul passengers in Air Canada's business class, or Emirates, Lufthansa, or Swiss first class have access. Second, it's really more of a dining room than a lounge, and the food in here is exceptionally elevated. Think fine dining. There's a small buffet and a bar. But best of all, a very substantial menu, and everything is included in the price of your ticket. We decided to celebrate Canadian winemaking with a glass of sparkling from Ontario. Suzanne had this elevated take on chicken soup, as well as the ravioli, and I went for the beet carpaccio. If you wanted to skip the meal on board, you easily could order more and fill up here, but that's not what we planned to do.
The name of the game is to save room so you can eat on the plane.
We decided to share the buckthorn cake for dessert.
Buckthorn, very tasty.
The space is truly beautiful. I particularly like the mural on this wall. It feels distinctly Canadian, but it was time to check out our plane, so we made our way back downstairs.
Here it is, the 17-year-old 777 that's going to take us over to London tonight.
We still have some time before boarding, so we explored the airport a bit. Eventually, we decided to check out the Maple Leaf Lounge. Now, it's a bit easier to get in here than the Signature Suite. Anyone with the right credit card or Air Canada Elite status can enter. And as nice as the Signature Suite is, this is where you'll need to come if you want a shower or a place to stretch out a bit more. This is a lot more like a typical business class lounge.
I flew with Air Canada once, many years ago on the channel. It was a domestic flight though, so I'm super excited to see what it's like to fly with them on a long-haul international flight. Speaking of, it's time to board this bird. Next stop, London.
As we board, I can't help but wonder, who do you think will win the Trans Atlantic Throwdown Canadian edition? On board, the cabin has a pleasant color scheme, and the 21-inch seats are arranged in a 1-2-1 configuration. The seats in the middle are great for couples because there's a divider that can be lowered. We love our window seats though. Suzanne's sitting in seat 5K, and I'm right behind her in 6K. In addition to a pillow, a blanket, and a mattress pad at each seat, you'll find an amenity kit, headphones, a menu, and a bottle of water. The seat can be adjusted using this screen, and this shelf offers a large surface to store things like a laptop or iPad. There's storage here, along with a plug, and a few options for lighting if you need it. The menu does a nice job of celebrating Canada, which I think is a really important thing for flag carriers like Air Canada. My seat, in row 6, has 2 windows. And despite not having a door, the seats feel quite private. Flight attendants were in the aisles offering pre-departure sparkling wine. Our flight time today will be 6 hours and 15 minutes, so we better get this trip started. That's not much time to sample everything. Now, as always, please never mistake criticism for a lack of gratitude. We're so thankful to get to have these experiences and share them with you, but we also want to give our honest opinions so you can decide how to spend your hard-earned money. By the way, if you'd like to come along with us on more adventures, we'd sure appreciate it if you'd subscribe. But for now, let's settle in and get this journey started. There are 1,045 movies available on this 19-inch screen.
Counted them all.
There was so much I wanted to watch here. It was tough to choose, but I finally did. And my favorite feature? You can skip the ads. The amenity kit contains the basics. The Wi-Fi cost 28 Canadian dollars, but was quite fast. Service began with a hot towel, and drinks were served about 40 minutes after departure. And 30 minutes after that, our appetizers arrived. I have to say, I'm really impressed with the plating here. The food was of course tasty, but it also just looks nice. Another 30 minutes passed, and our main courses hit our trays. Suzanne chose the Parmesan-crusted chicken. If you've ever watched our videos before, you know Suzanne likes to order chicken on planes, but this was truly the best she'd ever had. The chicken was tasty, and the Parmesan crust was absolutely perfect. And I had the braised beef. It was also really good. Frankly, both of these meals tasted above business class. Meal service was finished 2 hours and 15 minutes after takeoff, meaning 1/3 of the flight was already over. Of course, there is an express dining option available if you'd prefer more time to rest. Or you can even set your own schedule with Dine on Demand. The seats fold down into a bed, but it's not fully flat. The part near your head is at a slight angle. The seat also has an inflation feature that was more of a distraction than comfortable, and it's a bit narrow at the shoulder. Now the footwell is huge, but if you sleep on your side, the tray table can be a bit of an obstruction. As always though, anytime you're in a bed flying through the air, you're doing something truly amazing. I got 2.5 hours of sleep before it was time to wake up for breakfast. There was no choice for breakfast. Instead, the omelet was the only option, and the highlight was definitely the chicken sausage. Before we land, I have to show you this loo with a view. The sky was really putting on a show this morning. And be sure to stick around because we still have to rate this experience and let you know what we paid. But first, business class passengers on Air Canada have access to this arrivals lounge outside of security at Heathrow. This isn't something you get on WestJet. Here you can take a shower, kill some time before heading into the city, or if you're like Suzanne and skipped breakfast on the plane, you can have a bite to eat.
DIY avocado toast.
Why don't more airports have spaces like this? We couldn't come all this way without exploring London a little bit before we try out WestJet.
I feel so fortunate not only to share this comparison video with you, but also to explore London along the way. And that's thanks to our sponsor for today's video, Incogni. They offer a service I really believe in. You see, I hate spam emails, spam calls, spam texts. They're annoying, but they can also be dangerous in the wrong hands. But that raises the question, how do these spammers get your information? And it comes down to data brokers. These are sites that collect information like your phone number, your email address, even your social security number. Now, we have the right to have our information removed from these lists, but it's a cumbersome process, and there are more of these things coming all of the time. You see, Incogni reaches out to data brokers on your behalf and requests your personal data removal. They handle any objections from their side, and the whole process is automated. Incogni also makes sure that your data stays off the market by conducting repeated removals and requesting that it be taken down if it pops up again. Check out incogni.com/JebBrooks for more information. Look, I have been using Incogni for a while now, and the number of spam emails I get is way down, but better than that, my phone doesn't blow up with spam texts and calls nearly as much as it used to. So if you're interested, Use code JebBrooks at checkout at incogni.com/JebBrooks to save 60% off that annual plan. Again, incogni.com/JebBrooks. After some wonderful weather here in London, it's time to leave. We're off to Calgary. It's time to check in for our flight with WestJet.
WestJet is Canada's second largest airline. They're based in Calgary and fly to Paris, London, Tokyo, and other places around the world seasonally thanks to their long-haul 787 Dreamliners they added to their fleet back in 2019.
We've never flown with WestJet before, so we really don't have any expectations for what we'll experience on board today.
I've always thought of them kind of as a budget airline, but they are firmly a full-service airline nowadays, including 7 Dreamliners in their fleet.
And after our experience with Air Canada coming over, this is really still anybody's game.
Game on.
We watched planes touching down on runway 27 left. And we're lucky enough to spot the 787-9 that'll take us back to Canada.
Canada has to be one of our favorite countries. It has so much to offer. It is beautiful. Can't wait to spend my birthday trip hiking.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. I think it's going to be an amazing hiking trip. Some of these hikes are incredible. In fact, so incredible, I think we might take you on a couple. So watch to the end and see some of our hiking adventures.
Let's head to Canada.
Off we go.
With only one flight a day, WestJet doesn't have their own lounge here in London. They use the Plaza Premium Lounge instead, so we're gonna check that out. They do operate their own lounge in Calgary, and I hear what you're saying, Suzanne and Jeb, this isn't fair, you're not gonna see their own lounge. Don't worry, we'll find a way to account for that in the scoring at the end of the video, but for now, let's check out Plaza Premium.
The Plaza Premium Lounge is pretty basic and can get very crowded. We finally found 2 seats together. There's a self-serve bar and a buffet too. The food was okay, but Suzanne said it pretty well.
Do I miss the signature suite? I mean, kind of, yeah.
You can't fault them for taking pride in the space. And let's be honest, it's a nice place to hang out before a long-haul flight. But there's another spot, just steps away.
No visit to Terminal 4 is complete without a stopover at View Heathrow.
It's an observation tower with phenomenal views of the action.
WestJet, unlike Air Canada, is not part of an airline alliance. Now, they do have a number of partners, including Delta, so our SkyMiles numbers are on these reservations. We'll find out at the end of the trip whether we get miles or not.
Spoiler alert, we did get those miles.
And here it is, the 6-year-old Dreamliner that's going to take us to Calgary today.
And now, it's time to board this bird. Next stop, Calgary. The cabin is far more exclusive than Air Canada's. While that plane had 40 business class seats, this one only has 16. And the seats are 22 inches wide and are configured very similarly to Air Canada's. In addition to the pillow and blanket, at each seat you'll find an amenity kit, headphones, a menu, and a bottle of water. A flight attendant arrived with a glass of sparkling wine. And again, my seat, 4K this time, had 2 windows. It's worth saying we both really like the stylish design and color scheme in here. There's additional storage here, along with a remote for the in-flight entertainment and a plug, along with more storage over here too. Unlike Air Canada, this menu offers a choice of appetizers, but there are only 3 options for main courses compared to the 4 offered on our first flight. For now, it's time to get this 8-hour and 13-minute journey started. It's always a highlight to spot this retired Concorde when you're taxiing around Heathrow. The design of this seat is somehow both open and private. This is a really good, really well-designed seat. With 211 movie options, the in-flight entertainment did not offer nearly as many choices as Air Canada, and I honestly struggled to find very much to watch on the 18.5-inch screen. Wi-Fi cost 22 Canadian dollars and was fairly slow. The headphones worked pretty well. Unfortunately, the crew dimmed our windows shortly after departure. This is not a greener grass approved move. There are lights if you need them. Some of them are controlled here, and others here. This was a little confusing. But the amenity kit contains all the essentials I really like to see, and this one was made by Herschel, a Vancouver-based company. And the skincare products it contains, they're also Canadian. Service began with a hot towel and drinks 42 minutes after departure. The packaged nuts were tasty, but seeing as they were in bags, it felt a little cheap. Our appetizers arrived about 30 minutes later. We both received small salads, and Suzanne chose the soup. I opted for the bresaola. Now this was a creative and tasty option. After another hour, we received our main courses. I had the seared salmon, which was very nice. And in a shocking turn of events, Suzanne chose to have the braised beef. Unfortunately, there was nothing too special about the beef. Also, the plating here wasn't quite as elegant as on Air Canada. In a nutshell, these are pretty average business class meals. For dessert, I had the plum tart, and Suzanne had the cheese plate. Everything was cleared 2 hours after takeoff. That seems like kind of a long time given the small size of this cabin. But like Air Canada, WestJet offers both express dining and a customized feature too. Now, after lunch, I discovered there's even more storage here in the armrest. And unlike that loo with a view, this one doesn't have any surprises. The seat folds down into a fully flat bed, but the shelf here, well, it's a little tight and makes it difficult, particularly if you sleep on your back. The footwell is more narrow than the one on Air Canada, but it felt more private, and I liked that it didn't inflate. This was a daytime flight, so I didn't nap too much, and because there wasn't much on the IFE, I enjoyed watching us fly right over Greenland, which we visited not too long ago. I'll link to that video in the description below. Sadly, between the dimmed windows and cloudy weather, I couldn't see much. Pretty soon, it was time for a light meal served before landing. Everyone gets the same cold snack here. And shortly after that, we're on our final approach into Calgary.
We've made it to Canada, so it's time for that final comparison.
And the best way I know to do that is to use the JebScore as a frame. So we'll consider the lounge, the seat, the food, the in-flight entertainment, and the service to determine who is the winner of the Trans Atlantic Throwdown Canadian edition.
First, the lounge. Air Canada wins for the signature suite. Even though it's only available departing Toronto or Vancouver, it's truly amazing. And sure, we did not get to check out WestJet's Elevation Lounge in Calgary, but from what we've read, it simply doesn't match what Air Canada offers. It's also a Priority Pass lounge, which means it's not nearly as exclusive as the signature suite, which is essentially a fine dining restaurant offering some of the best food we've ever had in any lounge. The seat winner is WestJet. It just felt a bit more open and comfortable compared to Air Canada. We also thought it had more storage, and the color scheme was more inviting. We also liked the smaller cabin. It just felt more private. The seat on Air Canada was oddly not fully flat, and that inflatable function is just difficult to control. Next, the food. Air Canada takes the cake here. It was some of the best we can remember eating in the sky. It was just an elevated offering with delicious flavors. The food on WestJet was average business class fare and missed the mark on some of the smaller touches like serving cashews in a bag, and the afternoon tea was just a bit lacking as a second meal. The best in-flight entertainment of this comparison was definitely Air Canada. More than 1,000 movies on a big, bright, crisp screen is remarkable. Now, the service. It's a tie. Both were missing some of the warm Canadian hospitality we were hoping to find. In both cases, service was fairly mechanical and just didn't feel personalized or above and beyond. And the meal service on both flights seemed to take longer than it really should have. But before we reveal the winner, how do these airlines compare price-wise? Well, we bought one-way tickets for the purposes of our comparison, and they happen to cost around the same price, but since most people are not booking one-way tickets to make YouTube videos, let's compare round-trip tickets on a route they compete head-to-head. Let's look at business class tickets for a week-long trip from Calgary to London Heathrow with 120 days advance purchase. You'll save around $500 US on the round-trip ticket flying WestJet over Air Canada. Where you really might save a bunch of loonies is if you're departing Vancouver flying via Calgary on WestJet. It's less than half the price of any option flying on Air Canada. So, who's the winner of the Trans Atlantic Throwdown Canadian edition? The winner is Air Canada. At the end of the day, it came down to the kinds of amenities a bigger international airline excels at. Things like the food, the lounges, the in-flight entertainment. Now, we wouldn't hesitate to fly WestJet again, though, especially if the price was right. Canada needs competition, and we hope they can expand their 787 fleet.
Between now and the next time, see you in the sky. Why are we going to London? She doesn't even know.
For everyone else, please remain seated. We will announce which groups are.
The name of the game is to save room to eat on the plane. Let me do it again. The name of the game.
With only one flight a day. Okay.
We've come all this way to go to Canada and see the Canada Gate. So that's it. That's the Canada Gate here in London. I mean, check this out. It's the actual size.